I think we'll start. I think the chanting is not done, but that's okay. Welcome, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you please tell me if you can hear me or not?
Yes, Mataji, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's start. Om Gyan, Timirandasya Gyanandan Chalakaya, Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karna Sindhu Dinbandhu Jagatpate Kopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namaste. Taptakanchन Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishbhanuste Devi Pranamami Haripriye. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमामि विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांता स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे. Welcome everyone. We'll get started with the continue with chapter 1 and hopefully we'll finish till verse number 28. Did we finish till verse number 12 last time? Can you remind me?
Yes, Mataji, we finished until the 11th one, the 10th one, where you explained about aparyaptam and paryaptam.
Okay, thank you. And then thank you very much.
Okay.
We're reading from chapter 1, which is observing the armies on the battlefield, or Arjun Vishad Yog. And so far we studied the most important verse was chapter 1 was one of the most important verses was verse 1, where Dhritarashtra is speaking, and then what are the key elements in that verse? We studied it. And then we studied the diplomacy of Duryodhan when he speaks from verse 3 to verse 11. And then in verse 11, he actually goes to Bhishma Dev and appeals for the support to the warriors. Okay, this slide's a little different than the other chapter slides because the Sanskrit verses are not there. Only the key, just to make it very simple, in the beginning of Bhakti Shastri, only the key elements of the verses are taken. So Bhishma Dev was blowing the conch shell, and then is everyone at the same page? Is any confusion, anyone? Or any question that needs to be addressed?
No, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. So Bhishma Dev blows the conch shell, and there's a diplomatic reason or dual reason for him to blow the conch shell. So he blows. Did you all read till verse 28? Is there anybody who did not read? You see, Bhakti Shastri is a self-driven course. If you come without reading, then you will not be able to understand. So if you have not read, please go back and read. If you have read, then that's great. And also go back and revise after this. I also have to prepare a lot before I come for class. So you have to kind of read every day, at least half an hour to 1 hour a day. So Bhishma, out of compassion and to cheer Duryodhan, blew the conch shell, and then he also blew the conch shell to softly tell Duryodhan that his defeat is certain, because Krishna is on the other side, but he's going to fight as a matter of duty. Okay. And then after that, everyone starts to blow their conch shells and bugles and drums, and the sound was tumultuous. And then Krishna enters on verse number 14. That's where Krishna's first mention is made. Krishna speaks the first verse of Bhagavad Gita where? Do you know where does he speak the first verse? Where?
I think in September 2nd.
Second word, Prabhu?
I think 11th verse of chapter 2nd.
11th verse of chapter. Okay, thank you. Yes, Anya Mataji.
1.25.
Yes, he speaks the first time in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna speaks is chapter 1, verse 25. And he enters at verse number 14. And then when he enters, everyone on Pandava's side starts to blow their conch shell. So I will show their conch shell is mentioned as transcendental conch shell. So Krishna and Arjun blowing their transcendental conch shell. So it is described as transcendental or Divya Shankho, because this is one another sign that Krishna Pandavas are going to win the war. If there is no mention of transcendental Kankshal on the side of the Kauravas. So here in this verse 14, these are the key points that he is addressed as Madhava, which means Krishna is the husband of goddess of fortune. And also verse number 14 has many other points. One of them is that the chariot on which Arjun was sitting was given by Agni, Dev, and was capable of conquering the 3 worlds. So these are the 3 things which are mentioned in verse 14. When you read, go back and read that Krishna, Pandavas are going to win the war. That the Kankshals are described as transcendental. Then Krishna is addressed as Madhava, which is the husband of goddess of fortune, which means that wherever there is Krishna, there is goddess of fortune, and there will surely be victory. And the chariot is given by Agni Dev. Okay, and these are the different names. This is one chapter where Krishna is addressed by at least 12 different names in Bhagavad Gita. This is the only chapter where Krishna is addressed with so many names, and you are required to know the names and the meanings of the names. So Krishna means all attractive, Rishikesh means master of the senses, Madhav means husband of goddess of fortune, Achyuta, infallible one, Madhusudana, killer of the demon of Madhu, a killer of the demon Madhu, Govinda, one who gives pleasure to senses or cows, Vasudev, son of Vasudev, Devaki Nandan, son of Devaki, Yashoda Nandan, son of Yashoda, Partha Sarthi, charioteer of Parth, Keshav, killer of demon Keshi, Janardhan, maintainer of all living entities. Then Arjun is addressed by 3 names, Dhananjaya, Parth, Gudakesh, also Kanteya, some places. And then Bhima is addressed by Vrikodara. These are the different Kankshals. Krishna's Kankshal is called Panchajanya, Arjun is called Devadatta, Yudhishthir is called Anantavijaya, Bhima is called Pandra, Nakul is Saghosh, Sahadev is Mahipushpaka, which is from verse 16 to 18. Okay, so we studied that, understand the reason why Bhishma Dev is blowing his conch shell. There are 2 reasons. One is to show his support to Duryodhan, and the second one is to also tell him that because Krishna is on the other side, his defeat is certain. And then understand that Krishna enters on verse 14, and in verse 14 there are 3 different reasons given as to why Pandavas are going to win the war. And then the names of the Kankshals are mentioned from verse 16 to verse 18. And Hridyani Vridahrit, verse number 19, has another sign of victory. I will show a consolidated form, a consolidated slide where all the signs of victories are mentioned. But as you're reading, focus on this aspect of chapter 1, that when not only are the Kankshals called transcendental, but they also shattered the hearts of sons of Dhritarashtra or Hridyani Vridahrit, which means that they already knew that this is going to be a loss for them. So Duryodhan or Kauravas blew their conch shell, that did not shatter Pandava's heart due to confidence in Krishna. The one who has taken shelter of Lord has nothing to fear, and Kaurava's heart shattered due to fear and no shelter of the Lord. These are the signs of defeat. This is verse 19. Am I going very fast? What are you getting? This is just like a quick revision for you. Am I going fast? Tanmaya Mataji, am I going fast?
No, Mataji, your speed is correct.
Okay, just let me know, anyone, please. Thank you if I'm going fast. I want to cover till verse 28 and go to the Mayapur book of handbooks, so we can see what questions we have addressed so far. So Arjun is ready to fight, and he looked at the Kuru army and spoke to Krishna as follows. So in verse 20, you see these paintings are put up, so you remember what's in that verse. There is the mention of Kapidhwaja, or Lord Hanuman, being present on the chariot of Arjun. So as Lord Hanuman served Lord Ram, he will also inspire Arjun to serve Krishna. So Arjun's flag on the chariot has emblem of Hanuman, who's a devotee of Lord Ram, which is a sign of victory. And Krishna is personally present as Rishikesh to direct his senses, so Arjun's victory is assured. These are the different signs. Okay, so we'll go one by one. Krishna's personal presence confirmed the victory. So verse 14 is a key verse which has the maximum number of reasons as to why the Pandavas are going to win the war. Supreme Personality of Godhead is the chariot, Jayastu Panduputra Nam, that particular verse. Krishna is addressed as Rishikesh, which means that he directly controls the senses of the pure devotees, controls and also the proprietor. Then in verse number 14, there is a mention of goddess of fortune. Then in the venue is Kurukshetra, which is a holy place. In verse 20 has Hanumanji, mention of Hanuman on Arjun's flag. Verse 12 and 14, the symbol of Vishnu, which is conch shell. One is with transcendental conch shell, Divya Shankho is verse 12. And verse 14 is Hridyani Vratarayet. Okay. And then Bhishma's conch shell to pacify Duryodhan, which is where we started the class from today. Agnidev's chariot given to Arjun, which is capable of conquering all the directions, is verse 14. And then shattering the hearts of the Kauravas is mentioned in verse 19. Right? If you want, I can share this slide in the WhatsApp group. So Arjun sees the Kuru and then he requests Krishna. This is the first time Arjun is going to speak in Bhagavad Gita. He requests Krishna to bring his chariot in the middle of the battlefield. Now, he is addressing Krishna as what? In verse 21 to 22. What name of Krishna is he using to address him? What is the name?
Achyuta Mataji.
Achyuta. Very nice.
Achyuta.
Thank you. Very nice. Achyuta. So, what is the meaning of Achyuta? Achyuta means infallible, and he's addressing Krishna as Achyuta. Why? Because Lord never fails in his affection for his devotees, thus engaged in the service of his friend out of his causeless mercy. It's not that because he has become a driver of Arjun, because he has become driver of Arjun, that means he has become less than God. Krishna is always God, no matter where he is situated. And he also did not hesitate to carry out the order of Arjun as his charioteer. So he's acting as Arjun's charioteer because Arjun is his devotee and he enjoys being engaged in the service of his friend out of his causeless mercy. There is a very nice mention of the meaning of the word causeless mercy, which we will eventually discuss later in Bhagavad Gita. There is a mention which means Krishna is merciful, but there is no cause found behind it. He's merciful to everyone. Name dishta se na priyaha. So Krishna says in chapter 9 that I envy no one and I'm friends to no one. So there's a book called Madhurya Kadambini by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In that, there's a mention of argument, a very nice argument. How come Krishna's mercy is causeless? Okay, we'll come to the details later in the chapters. Because don't we have to be a devotee of Krishna to incite the mercy? But here we are saying it's causeless mercy, and the analogy is given to the rain, that the rain pours everywhere, even on the ocean or river where there is water already, because of its causeless mercy. It goes everywhere. So Krishna's mercy is available to everyone, regardless of either one is a pure devotee or one is a sinful, one is committing sins. So how is it causeless? So there's the different arguments presented. It's very interesting, but for the sake of time here, we'll go with the verse. Krishna always remain in his supreme position, and he's never becomes less than God, even though he's acting as a charioteer. And it also incites that Krishna's relation between him and the devotee is sweet and transcendental. So the devotee is always eager to serve the Lord, and Lord obtains transcendental pleasure in receiving the orders of his pure devotees, although he's always infallible, supreme master. Now the question is, this is a question for all of you also, what made Krishna what made Arjun request Krishna to move the chariot in the midst of the armies? Yes, you read. Did you read? You can raise your hand if you want to answer. What was the reason, or what were the reasons which made Arjun request Krishna to move the chariot, to request Krishna to move the chariot in the middle? Ambika Mataji and then Kirti Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji. Ambika Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Arjuna wanted to assess the strength of the opposite army. He wanted to know who all are there on the opposite side, how much they were bent upon fighting. Then
That's good enough. Thank you.
that,
Thank you. Kirti Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I think most of it Ambika Mataji said, but yes, he wanted to see how the arrangement is done. The phalanx is been arranged. Yes, Mataji.
And okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Anvaya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Arjuna didn't want to fight. He was very compassionate even on the battlefield to his relatives. So he once again wanted to make sure that should he go ahead with
Very
the
nice.
war. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So Arjun was forced to fight against his wish, and he was anxious to see who were the leading men present in a desire to fight to please Duryodhan, and to see how much they were bent upon fighting, and also to estimate the strength which he had to face, although he was confident of his victory because of Krishna. So these are the reasons what made Arjun, that Prabhupada mentions in his purport, bring the chariot in the middle of the two parties. But then it's not that he had any intention of peacemaking. Remember, Kimaveta Mamaka Pandavas Cheva Kim Akurvat Sanjaya. So when Dhritarashtra asked Sanjay, what did they do, my sons and the sons of Pandu? Prabhupada explains in the purport that maybe that there was an intention to peacemaking because of the effect of the holy dham. But here it is mentioned that he had no intention of peacemaking. All right, so Arjun wanted to see who has come to fight and wishing to please Duryodhan. Here, the analogy, there are going to be analogies in every chapter. The analogies that Prabhupada is using is birds of same flocks fly together. Like everyone who, he wanted to see everyone who was bent upon fighting. Okay, so this can be one of the questions too. So Krishna drew the chariot in the middle of both armies. And Krishna addresses Arjun as sorry, this font is from Apple and I'm using Microsoft Word. Gudakesh and Hrishikesh. So Arjun, you have to know what is the meaning of the name Gudakesh. What is the meaning of the name Gudakesh? Arjun is addressed as Gudakesh. What is the meaning of the name?
Who has overcome sleep? Sleep means
Okay, very
ignorance.
nice. Sleep and?
Sleep means ignorance.
Very nice.
Whose mind is
Very, very
contaminated
nice.
by mundane activities and hasn't surrendered at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord.
Very nice. Thank you. Yes. Two meanings of the word Gudakesh. One who conquers the sleep. Sleep also means ignorance. So Arjun conquered sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. And this is the nature of the devotee, that ignorance means we forget Krishna. That's the definition of the word ignorance, means we forget. But a pure devotee cannot forget Krishna even for a moment. So is Gudakesh. So devotee conquers sleep and ignorance because of constant Krishna consciousness, and which is called samadhi or meditation. Krishna is addressed as Rishikesh because he is the director of mind and senses, and he could understand Arjun's purpose in placing the chariot in the midst of the armies. And now Krishna is going to speak on verse number 25. So because Krishna could understand, because he is the controller of the senses, the proprietor of the senses, that what makes Arjun ask to bring the chariot in the midst of the army. So Krishna places the chariot, and he places in such a way that he brings the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. It was such a big army phalanx, military phalanx. He could have placed it anywhere, but he actually draws and puts it in front of Bhishma and Drona. So Lord, again, you have to remember, Hrishikesh, he knew the mind of Arjun because he's the super soul of all living entity. Arjun is addressed as Parth because it indicates that he's the son of Pritha, which is Kunti's name. So he became the charioteer because Arjun is the son of his aunt or Queen Kunti. And Krishna then spoke to Arjun and said, "Behold the Kurus." Behold the Kurus means that do you want to stop fighting now? Or you want to keep fighting? Do you want to stop fighting? Krishna is addressing Arjun as Pritha from his mother's family because he wants to emphasize that he does not expect such cowardly action from the son of his aunt. And also out of friend, he's joking here. He's expressed here. Right? So he said, you told me to bring the chariot in the middle of two armies. So you can see that who's here to fight. And he knows the heart of Arjun. So Hrishikesh is the name addressed there. Okay, I'm so sorry. Arjun sees all relatives assembled on both the sides. And then there's a list, a huge list of the relatives who can see who. So Arjun could see all kinds of relatives, friends, well-wishers, grandfathers like Bhishma, Somadatta, teachers like Dronacharya, Kripacharya, maternal uncles like Shalya, Shakuni, brothers like Duryodhan, sons like Lakshman, friends like Ashwathama, well-wishers like Kritavarma, and many other friends. So these are the groups of people that he could see: teachers, friends, maternal uncle, brothers, sisters. Sons, sisters means like he could think of whose husbands were they. Well-wishers, grandfathers, then mother and father. So you see the father, he gets reminded of the mother. So Arjun, when he sees the relatives, he becomes overwhelmed with compassion. There's a little bit of a discussion between the difference between compassion and mercy. Compassion basically means that that the feeling is directed towards specific group of people, okay? And mercy or daya in general is a general term that we mercy on everyone. Like Krishna has causeless mercy, right? Because he's like in general for everyone, he's the same. But compassion is that Krishna says in 10th chapter Bhagavad Gita, 10th verse, Tesham antagatam papam jananam sarva karmanam no dadami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. So there the Prabhupada translates, out of compassion for them, I dwelling in the, I'm sorry, that's the verse 11, not 10. That's verse 11. Tesham te antagatam papam. So there Prabhupada explains in the purport that Krishna says that out of compassion for them, or who's them? Pure devotees. I, dwelling in the heart, destroy the ignorance with the shining lamp of knowledge. So Krishna also is merciful to everyone, but there is specific compassion reserved for the devotees. So here the word used is compassion. And Arjun is addressed as son of Kunti. And there is specific mention of the word Kripaya Paraya Vishto, which means overwhelmed with great compassion. This compassion, is it material or spiritual? The compassion that Arjun is facing for his family, is it material or spiritual? Is it coming from the platform of belonging to Krishna, or is it coming from the platform of belonging to the same
Mataji, it's
family?
material.
Material Mataji.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. That's why it's also called as weakness of heart. So perception or vision shapes our emotional state, like how we look at the others. So for whom Arjun is having compassion, this is a sign of pure devotee. All godly qualities are bestowed to a devotee, and they are even compassionate towards their enemies, which is a contrast between Duryodhan and Arjun. How Arjun reacted and how Duryodhan reacted when they saw the opposite party willing to fight. when Duryodhana saw the arrangement of the military phalanx by Pandavas, he goes to Dronacharya and complains, right? But when Arjun saw the opposite party, the Kauravas, standing there to fight, he becomes overwhelmed with compassion. So that's a difference. Okay, and then from verse 28 to 46 are Arjun's doubts, which we will study next week and we'll finish. I'm going a little slow with chapter 1 so you get the momentum of the class. So today we studied that Bhishma Dev blew the conch shell, verse 12. Then we studied that Krishna and Arjun and all of the Pandavas blew their conch shell, and their conch shell is mentioned as transcendental conch shell, and it is and the different names of conch shells are mentioned. And their blowing of the conch shell shattered the hearts of the Pandavas. Then we studied that Arjun is requesting Krishna to bring the chariot in the midst of both armies. We studied the reason why Arjun is doing that. And then Krishna is addressed as Rishikesh, and then he speaks when he sees that Arjun, he places a chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona, and then he asks Arjun, like he tells Arjun, behold the army of the Kurus, because he is aware that what emotional turmoil is Arjun going to go through, and also jokingly saying that now you don't want to fight because you're going to see these different varieties of relatives. And this particular verse, Arjun's feelings, I'm so sorry, Arjun's feelings are going to be described. And then from verse 28 to 46, Arjun will give 4 reasons for not fighting the war, which I expect you all to study and come. Okay. Let me go back to the book. We can see, are you doing this book? Do you have this handbook of students? Everyone has it?
Yes, Mataji, we have it.
Is there anybody who doesn't have it? This is a good time to speak. Is there anyone who doesn't have it? So I expect you to please go through the book questions every time you read the chapter. Don't leave it for the last minute. So what is the significance of Dhritarashtra saying Mamakaha? Everyone knows the answer. I'll read the questions, and if you don't know the answer of any question, then you can stop me there, and then we can discuss the answer. Okay? Why was Dhritarashtra fearful? Everyone knows? At least tell me yes or no.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay. How was Sanjay able to see the battlefield of Kurukshetra? How was he able to see? He was sitting in Indraprastha. How was he able to see?
Because
Mataji,
of
by
his,
mercy of Vyas.
yes.
Okay. What is the significance of Duryodhana saying Dhimata tava shishyena? So he addressing Drupad, Dhimata tava shishyena. What is the significance?
So as to make Dronacharya angry, and just to point out that he is his enemy's son.
Yeah, very nice. 2 reasons. List the vows Bhima made after gambling match. So this I will share the answer because this is not in Bhagavad Gita. This is in Surrender Unto Me. Do you have this book, Surrender Unto Me? You have this book?
No, Mataji.
Okay, I'll read the answer. And then you can make a note. And if you want, I can share as well. So the Bhima made 3 vows in killing. First, he vowed to kill each of the Dhritarashtra's 100 sons. So during the battle, Arjun and other Pandavas had opportunity to kill some of the Dhritarashtra's sons, but they refrained from doing so to allow Bhima to fulfill his vow. So Bhim vowed to kill all 100 sons. And second, Bhima had vowed to break Duryodhana's thigh. When Draupadi was being insulted, Duryodhana had uncovered his thigh and motioned to Draupadi, saying, "Come and sit on my lap. You are fit for my enjoyment." Bhima burned with anger and hatred. For 13 years, he had been burning as he waited to destroy the Kauravas. Okay. And the third vow he made was to tear open Dushashan's chest. pry out his heart and drink his blood. Gosh. You know. So the Sashan had touched and opened Draupadi's tied and sanctified hair. For that, Bhima had vowed to rip off his arm. Draupadi had promised to keep her hair untied until she had washed it with the Sashan's blood. Bhima later carried that blood in his hands to Draupadi. These are the 3 vows mentioned. Okay? And then 4 signs of victory. Why was Duryodhan confident of full support of Bhishma Dev and Drona? Verse number 11. Why was he confident of full support?
Mataji, because
Because
Bhishma Dev had Ichha Mrityu Vardhan and
according to
Drona
verse
was Guru.
11,
Because they had kept quiet while Draupadi was being insulted in the court.
yes. So this particular, you have to go by the verse that is mentioning. Okay, the reference is there. List 4 signs of victory for the Pandavas. I think everyone can list at least 4 signs. I gave 9 signs. Significance of Hanuman's on being on Arjun's flag. What is the meaning of the word Gudakesh? What is the meaning of the word Gudakesh? What is the meaning?
Conqueror of sleep or ignorance.
Very nice. Okay, you can explain a little more here because it's not one word answer. Okay, by next class, I will give you the open book questions because we'll finish chapter 1. So open book questions, there will be 2 essays which will be based on the whole unit for 6 chapters. And you can read and start writing the essay and submit it by the time we finish chapter 6.